And we're back. This is the Criterion Creeps podcast, and tonight we're talking about Mama Roma from 1962, directed by Pier, Paolo, Pasolini. The synopsis of this film from old Letterboxd.
Mm-hmm.
After years spent working as a prostitute in her Italian village, middle-aged Mama Roma has saved enough money to buy herself a fruit stand so that she can have a respectable middle-class life and reestablish contact with the 16-year-old son she abandoned when he was an infant. But her former pimp threatens to expose her sordid past, and her troubled son seems destined to fall into a life of crime and violence.
That's a pretty good synopsis.
It's not
Jarrett.
too bad.
It's not too bad. It doesn't say more than it needs to, and it's not completely out to lunch.
And it's accurate. I mean, that's what it is. It's not missing out on any like glaring piece of the like plot that you'd expect. So this is the return of our most listened to episode on YouTube. Director Pasolini, which I think it's because people are such pass heads. They just love that Pasolini so much, or it has more to do with the fact that people are always looking up that Sallow.
Big Salvo boys, big Pasolini boys. Where do you identify?
Jury's out.
Okay, good to know.
He's right in the middle. I'm right in the middle on this guy.
Well, when we reach what is it, the 100 million subscribers, we'll rewatch Salem.
It's much lower bar than that. It's very achievable.
Well, I mean, both of us. You're not gonna. That thing you're talking about, that's just you that you're gonna do, right?
The watching
the live feed.
Live feed. Oh no, yeah, you'll be there.
Okay.
You'll be being fed.
Interesting.
Yeah.
By you?
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. Tell me about PP Pasolini.
PP Pasolini. So, Mama Roma. This is a movie I knew next to nothing about.
Okay.
Other than, hey, Pasolini directed this movie called Mama Roma.
Mm-hmm.
No one talks about this movie as far as I know. People apparently watch it here and there. It is on the Criterion channel. It is part of the Criterion Collection. And that's about it. So, in my preparation, in my research for Mama Roma, I did a quick look at the synopsis on Letterboxd, and I couldn't help but go, what? Another movie in the Criterion Collection about prostitution? About sex workers? I can't believe it. This is unbelievable. It seems like it comes up quite a bit.
So do certain things about Italy and Italian society come up quite a bit in the Criterion Collection. Wouldn't you say? Certain trends?
Trends about mamas and their boys.
I was going to say something else, but I'll let you continue.
Well, so yeah, the one thing that I wasn't always I'm watching for and expecting in a lot of these movies, these post-war Italian movies, is just like the destitution of Italy after the war. You have these cities that and it kind of reminds me of parts of New York City in the 70s where there's these projects and these buildings being torn down and rebuilt up and just like in destitution. It's like this, but in Italy, you're surrounded in these like fields, these spiraling fields of just like the plains that are very reminiscent of Creepsville, I think, at times.
The plains?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's similar cartography, geography.
Hills and plains kind of merging, foot hills-ish, maybe. So anyway, like I said, that just struck me as like, oh, it's like another sex worker movie. That's a curious thing that I don't think anyone's really commented on. I don't know what it says exactly. It's all these different directors, but there's a thorough line of like, why do directors like really love focusing in on this particular lifestyle of women? Is there something about this career trajectory that some women have to go through to make a living?
Maybe it's an Italy thing, because
we have Nights of Cabiria. There's Nights of Cabiria.
Yeah.
In fact, RJ, I've got a list. I've got a private list on my Letterboxd. I'd have to pull it on up right now.
Of sex workers?
Italian
sex workers?
No, of sex workers in the Criterion Collection.
Huh. Strange.
It's just one of those things. I've counted about 24, and I didn't have this on the list till this week. I don't think. But we have The Naked Kiss, Sam Fuller. We had Double Suicide that we watched forever ago.
Oh, I forgot about that movie completely.
Matrice.
Yeah, fuck, that was only like a month ago. I already forgot about that.
Lola.
Uh-huh.
Mona Lisa.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's just what we've watched so far, and there's more coming.
Oof. But
Godard's great movie, Vivre sa vie.
Isn't
And there's a movie literally called Story of a Prostitute.
Story of a Prostitute?
Story of a Prostitute.
RoboCop's kind of related to that stuff too.
Yeah.
Same with Wild Strawberries.
So, yeah, I walked into this, and the movie opens up with some heavy Christian imagery. RJ.
Hell yeah, it does.
Some Last Supper stuff going on as our main character, Mama Roma, a very loud, boisterous, abrasive woman. She's at a wedding for her former pimp. And he's getting married, and she's really happy about this. But for a combination of things. One, she's going to do this, like, kind of be like the center of attention. She doesn't have to be, a prostitute anymore working for this guy that he lives off the avails of her labor and exploitation of her flesh. And she's doing these things with these pigs, make about some illusions about these.
What kind of illusions, Jarrett?
That the female pig is a slut, RJ.
Whoa.
That's what they say. That's a quote from the movie.
And do you think Mama Roma's being self-referential, or is she talking about the bride to be?
I think a little bit of everything. And then there's some singing, some sing songs.
What kind of songs? Campfire songs?
Yeah, a little bawdier than that.
Okay.
Yeah, they all vary. One of my probably least favorite things in the world is probably singing in movies, where like characters sing and like you're supposed to be like, oh yeah, those are some great lyrical references to what's going on, but it's like, oh, I hate that. Like, I don't know, there's something about the loss of translation of like songs that like you read it and you're like, huh, when I read this, I read it in a flat voice and it doesn't matter what they're saying. It's just kind of like, oh, I guess people find this charming. Maybe that's why I'm not a big musical person.
So he admits it. Dude has never listened to music before. Doesn't own a single CD.
Not a one.
Not a one. That's pretty wild. I agree with you.
Just synthwave on YouTube.
Just synthwave, and then you turn on your neon open sign and you just stare at it for hours.
Or my members only jacket.
Oh, baby. Yeah, singing on like in film or movies, TV. I don't like it either. It's kind of like having a phone ringing in a movie, and you go, "That's too loud."
It's too loud.
Cut it out. And then it rings forever and ever. And you as an audience member say, someone answer the phone. Please. Uncle Leo. Anyways.
Leo. So is it Romolo? Romolo is the name of her pimp.
Oh, maybe.
Franco Sidi. He's got some good lines here. Mama Roma, while she's kind of like either like really happy, also drunk, ecstatic that she gets to move on. She saved up her money. And she's going to live in Rome, get out of this hick town, and she can grab her son on her way, her 16-year-old that's grown up without her, and show him a good life, and so they can live a little bit more cosmopolitan. But Franco Sidi, man, this guy, he's got designs on this woman still. This guy, I don't know what you would describe him as. He's kind of like a cross between Pedro from Napoleon Dynamite and Michael Shannon. Would you say that's accurate?
Yes. That is accurate. I'm proud of you, man.
That's almost like RJ in pinpointing it.
Pinpointing exactly what a person looks like. That's pretty good, man. Yeah. You put some work into that.
Yeah. It's very Michael Shannon-y, but with that mustache on top.
A little bit, yeah. Even Tori, the boy, he almost has a little bit of Michael Shannon in him too.
He's got a little too subtle of a jaw, though. He's got that weird, like, he's got a pointy little jaw, but he's got a very slight face. He's very, very young boy, Ettore, which is also the actor's name.
I noticed that. Do you think that was coincidental or on purpose?
Maybe so he'd respond properly. Because one thing you'll learn about Pasolini is he likes to use non-professional actors.
Why? Just to get that raw,
Yeah, raw.
just raw dancing.
No. So,
You know?
so we had the wedding scene, and we kind of transitioned right to when she goes to find her son, Ettore. He's hanging out with his boys, the always well-dressed Italian kids walking around in their suits. Oh, which is cool. I mean, you look at kids these days.
Whoa!
And they look at them. It's like, look at the state of them.
That's Jarrett Duncan. You can send hate mail to CriterionCreeps.com.
What? You don't think children could stand up wearing like nice little suits?
No, I actually agree with you, because I think it would be adorable if all my kids were wearing suits. I also made a note of that because there's a hilarious scene at 30 minutes where one of those boys is rollerblading, like with like roller skates, and he's in his full suit, and it's like, he's just going out for a little rip in his full tan suit, and you're like, that's cool. I wish I had that kind of confidence.
So Roma, she picks up her son. They whisks him away to the big city, so he doesn't wind up just being a day laborer working in the fields. I think you can relate to this, right, RJ? Living in the big city, so you don't have to toil.
That's almost exactly my life.
This is like the story of you.
Kind of. Yeah. I mean, kind of. Yeah.
So she's on her way out, and she gets a knock at the door before she can leave from old Franco City, Romolo, her pimp. Because of course, as soon as you see this guy, it's not a good guy, and he's saying, "Hey, I'm just getting really down, doing all this shit work, and we're gonna like buy a bunch of cattle for cheap, and then like once we get it, we're just going to like butcher it ourselves and sell it." And you're like, "Whoa, what the hell?" And it's like, "Yeah, so but I need like 200,000 lira, whatever that is." And he's like, "Yeah, you need to come up with that in 2 weeks." Yeah, and it's like, you put your mind to it, you can figure something out. It's like, but that's the last time, okay? That's the last time I'll do this. And you're just like, fuck this guy. RJ, I gotta tell you, I'm not a fan of pimps. I don't know if like anyone is per se, other than people who say pimping ain't easy, and there's like a weird like, oh man, pimps are so cool. I was like, no, pimps really suck.
Yeah, I mean, have you seen Hustle and Flow?
I have not.
The Oscar-winning movie?
I have not.
No? Okay. Well, I mean, in that movie, he expresses that it's hard out there for a pimp.
No.
When you're trying to make the money for the rent. I mean, there is another pimp in this movie who's actually portrayed as okay because he does a favor to them, but it is with the promise of money up front, I guess.
Right.
But yeah, you know what? Maybe we'll go out on a limb here and say that the Creeps are anti.
Oh.
I don't know if that's a hot take. Or,
I mean, Bagul thought it was too hot.
It was too hot. Well, I mean, I can't say it again, but I'm just saying, we're taking a hard stance and we're saying,
the pimping, thumbs down.
Yep, we're just anti-pimp. There you go.
So we get what's actually depicted on the poster of the Mama Roma movie, a scene of Roma dancing with Ettore in her apartment, showing him cha-cha-cha.
The what?
Cha-cha-cha. And then
okay.
a little tango. So, and then we get some like more like, because first we saw him like hanging out with his like young friends, and then we get to see more like replacement friends that are all sitting around gambling in the stairwell.
Yeah, there's a few cohorts of friend groups. There's the gamblers, there's the rollerbladers, and then there's the thieves, we'll see later.
Just like the Warriors.
Is that what that movie's about?
It's about
kind of like
cohorts.
surf Nazis.
Not unlike.
Yeah, there's groups and gangs in that movie, right?
That's got some good synth too.
Hell yeah, it does.
So yeah, I mean, it's just a pictorial depiction. It's sort of a split between like the character of Roma, who is not your typical mother figure, but not in like the way where it's like a movie starring Sandra Bullock, but in this like way of this like woman who has a completely different perspective than most mothers would, other than she's very concerned about her son. And there's even, though, some incestuous undertones, I would argue, that are at work here that are kind of uncomfortable.
During the dance scene, or just in general?
Just throughout the whole movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's like, she has a lot of concern. There's a lot of talk about like if he's had sex yet and been with a woman yet. She asks him like that often. I don't know, RJ, how many times have you talked to your mother about your sex life?
I don't know if you know
Catholic
this.
Boy.
I was gonna say, as a Catholic,
But I mean, Italy is the land of the Catholic.
Very true. But as a Westernized Catholic, I don't think the word sex has ever been said out loud in a mile radius of any of our houses. So I mean, even now, I'm a married guy, but saving it for the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
So and we'll get to that during La Ricotta, I guess, later. But no, I know what you mean. I think at one point it's almost like she doesn't want him falling for the other girl, that's the town pump, I think is one of the guys calls her.
Damn.
Well, I mean, that's how the mother views her, right? Yeah. So she doesn't want him to fall in love with that girl because she's already got a kid, and she doesn't want the son to be.
He's got no prospects. This kid.
Yeah,
it's
she wants him to go off.
She wants him to have a great job, but he has no skills. And it's like, hey, I don't want to just be like a laborer. It's like, well, I can maybe get him working at a restaurant. It's like, oh, that's very different. That's a much better quality of life. And in fact, this even leads to like a scene where she, with like a fellow sex worker and pimp, they pull a shakedown of a restaurant owner who's like, oh, you didn't? Oh, you found yourself trying to have sex with this woman? It's like, that's a bad look, dude. You don't want your wife to find out about it. But maybe you could give my son a job at your restaurant. Mm-hmm. That's one route.
I mean, how did you get your first job?
Similarly, I guess. I'm not saying I'm better than that, but watching it from like, a film, you go, that's just bad decision making right there. I mean, I made my first job was KFC. I mean,
wow, were you making the gravy?
Oh, I made some gravy.
You made some gravy.
No.
You
I made some cheddar.
Wow,
I'm making the hand gesture.
Ooh, what were you getting paid? Like $12 an hour?
610?
610, and this would have been in 1972 that you got your first job.
Oh man, I'd be rich in 1972 making that kind of money, pulling down those sort of wages.
That's true. That restaurant scene it's like endearing, but it's also goofy because he's just like looking at them doing the raised eyebrows. It's like, pay attention.
And she's crying.
She's crying. Well, I mean, it's endearing in the sense because she's like, he did it. He broke the chain. He's not gonna be like what I am. He's got a real job or something like that, or he's out of like illegal activities or things like that. But I was more concerned. He's carrying these plates, and it's just like he's just looking over, winking, and raising his eyebrows. It's like, you're gonna drop all those fucking plates, dude. It's like he wasn't paying attention, Jarrett.
So you know what movie I was thinking about watching this a bit was 400 Blows.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
It's got that coming of age quality, and like you actually do get a lot of Ettore in this as sort of like a focal point, and you get like the kind of the taste of young delinquency of someone's like, finding their boundaries, pushing, and then like kind of acting out as well.
Yeah.
But I mean, so mom makes some interesting choices in terms of motherhood, but she's trying to make an honest living, hawking the fruits. Hawking, I thought there's some vegetables in there too, but
it was like a date or something.
Yeah, there you go. There's
like
which is fruit.
Yeah.
So she's hawking that hard. And this is, of course, like when she finds out that her son's schlepping the young woman with the baby.
What? How would you describe her, Jarrett?
The young woman with the baby.
Oh, okay. It wasn't another derogatory term.
I just wanted to like pause and not say what you said earlier.
Well, Jarrett, those are not my opinions. That's what is expressed in the movie. I'm only examining the movie under a critical eye.
I see.
Yeah. So she's selling those things, but it's hard out there for a single mom. So she's selling her fruit, and she's just worried about her little baby.
Now, it doesn't want her to hang out with that. So she's like, well, I can't have that. So she gets her her sex worker friend, to be like, hey, you should fuck my son. Get him to forget all about her.
We've all been there,
No,
haven't we?
it's a story old as time.
What's that lady's name? It sounds like four names mixed together. It's like Ladina Da Vici Lagu.
Bianco Fiore. Yeah.
Bianco Fiore. What does that mean? Bianco Fiore. Because I feel like those are two different names mixed together. Do you know what I mean?
Louise Luiano. This is the only movie she was ever in.
Oh. Well, there's a Michela Biancofiore, which is an Italian politician born in Bolzano. She's 49 years old, if you're curious to Google her. I don't know where she stands, but...
she's got to be older than that.
Not the actress in the movie. This politician, Michela Biancofiore.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know where she stands on her political agenda, but she's part of the Forza Italia.
Oh man! So something I just found out, just really quick. So this is Pasolini's second movie. His first feature film is Acetone, which the tagline for RJ is "The Poor Man's Dolce Vita."
Huh.
And it's about a pimp with no other means to provide for himself finds his life spiraling out of control when his prostitute is sent to prison. And he has no mustache.
It's hard out there for a pimp, Jarrett.
Shit, I would have watched that if I knew.
You should have. That's too bad.
On the fly, here I am.
Well, if it was included in the supplementals, you would have watched it.
No. It's true. So, yeah... inevitably, because there's a period of time, I'd say hour or longer into the movie, you're kind of like, did they just drop the whole thing about her basically running out on her pimp, a la Milk Money, and one day he's gonna come and knock it, and sure enough, he just appears walking down the street, and he's looking for her. And it's like, oh, I think that's her son over there, and he goes and finds the son. What a coincidence! He has a nice little chat. Say, hey, maybe we can go for a drink. You like wine? And then you're just like, huh, he's a really nice guy. Not a piece of shit at all. And he sees the girl, Bruna, with the girl with the baby, Bruna, and they have an exchange. And of course, this guy, these fucking pimps, man, they know the way to they see the weakness, they see the damage, they see the hurt, and they know, they start conspiring. And he plays it so well. He's so good. He is like Franco Citi. He is some top-notch creepo action in this movie. He is just every time he's on the screen, I was just a little mad.
Was he a regular dude, or was he an actual actor?
He was. I think this was. Let's take a look. Let's take a gander. This was his third movie. So Acetone was his first movie, and then he was something in between called Violent Life, and then he was in Mama Roma. But he built his way up. He was in 45 films, of which I've seen 8, including such films as The Godfather. The Godfather, was he in part 2? No, that was somebody else. Oh man, yeah, he's a Pasolini dude though. Canterbury Tales. Fellini's Roma, Arabian Nights, and yeah, he's in a bunch of or several Italian cop movies, like Live Like a Cop, Die Like a Man.
Is he also in was it Kindergarten Cop? Is that an Italian film?
It could be.
It might be. We don't know. Okay, yeah, I was just curious because you're mentioning how Pasolini was really into these amateur actors. So.
Well, I guess there is sort of the problem solving there of everything's dubbed over, and so the performance can be salvaged, I guess, because everyone's dubbed, and you just it'll work itself out. So Pimp Man comes back. It's like, hey, you gotta cough it up, choppers. So the one thing, I guess, one of the main scenes in these movies is these monologues that Roma does, where she's walking through the night. The one night she visits her friends, and then she leaves them, and then she kind of walks through the night, and it's these continuous takes of her just walking along, and these men kind of coming toward her, basically propositioning her, or just some I think there's the one group of gay men I don't know if they're hustlers themselves. I think they might be, that like come and chat with her and stuff like that. And so you get two of those scenes in the movie where you get these long takes of her like kind of talking things out, and they're kind of talking at cross purposes. She'll be telling this one story, and the first person will leave, and then a second person shows up, and she continues telling the story, and they just kind of like they're so you don't know if they're paying attention to anything that she's saying, or if it's sort of like a part of the idea is that like it doesn't matter, and it's just like and it's really nicely done. And then the second one is when she has to go back out and like deal with this, because like now we have Romulo, who's threatening, hey, you're going to do this, or I'm going to tell your son about what you are. And of course, this is like her great fear about this. And at this point, Ettore like stealing her records and record players and hawking it down at the stray dog underbelly. And so she's getting back to work, and then a bunch of men show up, and it's like done in this offhand way. In fact, like for a movie that like deals so much with sex, it's all done off camera, right? Yeah. Which is I guess a nice thing. It's
better than the alternative with Pasolini, I think.
Some real hands-on rumpy pumpy.
Some could you say again what your name is, just for the record?
So eventually things just get worse, and soon enough Ettore finds out what's going on, but he's also he's getting sick. He's got a fever. It's like the COVID or something.
Is there only one prescription?
Well, what, a shit pail?
I was gonna say more cowbell, but that's
crime bell.
Crime bell.
So there's like a setup earlier on. Oh yeah, there's the scene where he gets the shit beat out of him. He gets just messed up pretty good.
Well, but he's standing up for the ladies.
Yeah, he's like, hey, that's my girl that's like sleeps with everybody, and these guys are like, no, we want to have sex with her, like the 7 of us. And he's like, no, fuck that. And he's like, okay, well, he's like, you wouldn't talk so tough if it was all you. And then he gets his ass beat, and then she's like, hey, see you later. And as they go to the sewer hole to bang, it's like, Jesus, this movie,
vintage Italy, hey.
Well, I don't know. This is like, I mean, it's interesting that you watched Kids this week, because I feel like there's some elements there.
There's a little bit.
Tori,
young love.
Yeah, young love. Tori gets sick. Tori tries to steal from some hospital beds from the sick. Gets caught. Gets thrown in like kid jail. But he's not doing well. He wants to leave, and so they have to like restrain him. And they give him a shit bucket, strap him to a table, and then we get a dark ending. Roma does not take any of this very well, and then we get this slam shot of her about to jump out a fucking window, and she looks out across the cityscape, and she sees, I don't know, some religious building, and then end.
What do you think happened next?
That's the end. It's the end of the movie. There's no more discussion to be had. End podcast.
Could you when you put this video on YouTube, could you put ending to Mama Roma explained with like some red arrows pointing at a screenshot or something like that?
With an equation?
Just an equation, and be like, what did it all mean?
So one thing I'll mention before I hand it off to you, I guess. So Mama Roma was dedicated to the director of Roma, Città Aperta from 1945, a Roberto Rossellini movie. In that movie, Roma, the actress Anna Magnani, she plays a pregnant woman who is killed in the middle of Rossellini's film. And I guess there's like references to that movie. Like the dome of the church, the Basilica di San Giovanni Bosco. Remember all that one? I took a art history class that touched on this stuff, and I don't remember any of this. It's just like, hey, it's that building. It's like,
what was it called again?
What is it? Like the water tower? What's that? Is that the high level bridge over there?
It's kind of close. What was the name of that thing though?
The Basilica di San Giovanni Bosco.
Terrific. That was pretty good, bud. Pretty good. I had no idea. I was gonna look into this, but I didn't want to Google Mama Roma and then start getting targeted ads for Pasolini related stuff. So I was just like, I'll have whatever the Criterion channel recommends, and then I'll leave it at that.
Right.
But I could have watched that hypothetically, but I didn't. So.
You didn't.
Oh well.
bailed.
I imagine this is a remake of the Alfonso Cuarón's Roma too, right?
Yeah.
In a sense.
Exactly.
They're all connected, aren't they?
Mama.
So
anyway,
yeah,
I will say that overall, I actually was pleasantly surprised with this movie.
Okay.
I actually really did enjoy it. I found it went by at a good clip. It felt very well paced. When I started off, I was like, oh, there's times where like Pasolini's filmmaking seems very rough. But I found that, I mean, knowing it's like his second movie and the way that he was working, it was like kind of like it actually worked okay. And I found the characters like actually I was kind of like when I started watching this I was like, oh man, this Mama Roma, I don't think RJ is going to be a big fan of this character. And as it went on, I found it like there's this like part of it is like her persona and like how she presents to other people, and then like her internal life and what she's also presenting to herself. But I think the Ettore character is well done. The Bruno character works. I think all the characters are actually, it's a good ensemble. And I mean, the story, again, we've talked about how it's about context of like this is like this like gritty 1962 neo-realist movie that's in the Criterion Collection, directed by Pasolini. People are going to handle this movie in a very different way than if you remade this exact same story now in 2014 and it was just directed by somebody. Like the plot is like feels very played out. It doesn't feel like a particularly original story. Like it just seems like, yeah, you have a hooker with a heart of gold, and then her pimp wants her to do one last bang and won't let her go, but she doesn't want her son to find out. It's some real Hallmark card stuff.
Who would be in the American remake today? You already said
Michael
Julia
Shannon.
Roberts.
Michael Shannon
as the yeah.
And then like this kid, the kid who plays the alt-right kid in Knives Out. You know that movie you haven't seen.
I haven't seen. Is that the kid from It?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Okay. Stutterin' Bill.
Yeah, Stutterin' Bill.
Stutterin' Bill. It could be him, or if they wanted an older version, what about Barry Keoghan from Killing of a Sacred Deer in Dunkirk? You know that kid?
The way you said Keoghan.
Keoghan.
It's like Arukin.
I don't know how to say his last name. Whenever I see it, that's how it sounds in my head, is Keoghan. But you know the Killing of a Sacred Deer kid?
Yeah, that kid.
That guy's got like a striking appearance, kind of like you told me.
Striking.
That's another one of those buzzwords when people don't know how to articulate something. They're like, it's striking. Interesting. Striking. Good to know.
I'm struck.
You have any other lingering thoughts there?
I think that about covers my impressions, I guess, of Mama Roma. RJ, what did you think, being such a big fan of the Pasolini movies you've seen to this point?
I don't so going into this week, I did a lot of self-reflection, Jarrett. A lot of lying on the floor staring at the ceiling, as you know I tend to do sometimes. And I was thinking, I was like, I don't think there's going to be any right way for me to talk about Pasolini without the history of the podcast coming up and things like that. I'm not going to talk about Salo. But I think some of our good friends of the show and longtime listeners, they'll understand where I sit on certain things. So I went in this week, and I put on a brave face. I rewatched 400 Blows when we had to do that, so I was like, you know what, Pasolini, I'll give it a go. I did not look into what this movie was about at all, because it's like I didn't want dread to set in if it was something off-putting for my own personal preferences and then not look forward to it. So I was like, all right, whatever, I'll just give it a go. So here's my take on Mama Roma. I think it's okay. But I agree with you a lot that I think it's a little rough. And knowing that it's Pasolini's second film, I think makes a little bit more sense, because I actually think that this will be the only time you hear me say this, Jared. I think in the hands of someone like Federico the Fart Fellini, I think this would have been a way better movie. But it wasn't, and it was in a less experienced director, and I think it fails because of that in some areas. That said, I'm a 50-50 guy here, so I actually think
A little half and half.
A little half and half, a little half and half cream for your coffee, buddy.
Yeah, or other things,
or other things. I actually think the story is like not bad. Not bad. I like the idea of this lady getting away from a lifestyle and career that she doesn't like, but she can't, and she keeps getting pulled in. That's classic storytelling, Jarrett.
Mm-hmm.
Storytelling 101, man. And like trying to prevent like their children from following similar paths and things like that, because she's like, her greatest fear, she doesn't want Ittori to grow up to be like a no good pimp or like a criminal or something, a hoodlum or whatever. She's like, I just want you to have a job, man.
She doesn't want him to be a second hand for like a joker. No one wants that, to be a henchman.
A nameless henchman that gets wasted in the first scene.
That's
you
right.
Don't want that. First panel. So I do think the story is pretty good. And I do think that there are certain segments of the movie that are really well done. Like, I actually thought the street talking scenes that you were talking about, those are pretty good. I did like the way that they kind of flowed in and out. I was like, that's cool. That's an interesting idea.
It's pretty complicated too, like considering like the era where it's like you have to like keep her lit and then keep the camera moving, shooting, I guess backwards. I guess she's walking forwards, and then you have like these people coming in and out of this inky darkness, which I found like it's very I wouldn't bust out that trope of dream-like, but it has this uncertainty to it, and it has like I love the idea of night as it's handled here in those scenes.
Yeah. Those scenes are very well done, I think. So there's certain segments there, and then I actually do like how I don't mind Mama Roma as a character. I like when she's kind of just waxing poetic about things, talking about hypocrites and how everyone's a piece of shit, kind of. And because someone's like, I can't remember how it gets brought up. I have some screenshots of it though, where someone's like, what about these people? And she's like, who gives a shit? She's like, they're just as bad as everyone else is. And I'm like, I get you, Mama Roma. I get it. But then there's other times where I think all of the characters do less than desirable things. And it's like, yeah, I get it. Like, people, even the best person sometimes makes a mistake, Jarrett. But so I did like some of her dialogue. It was pretty good, like things I related to in a sense. And I think the aspiration of the story where she's just trying to have something different, it's like that's endearing. And then I do like the kind of dark tale where it's like or not even dark, but just not non-traditional. It's like, yeah, it's sex workers, like you said. So it's not something that from the 60s was probably the most desirable thing. So you give them a little credit for that. But there are things that I don't like about it. There was a point in this movie, I don't remember where it was. It was like 40 minutes where I almost legitimately just fell asleep because I was like, what even is fucking going on here? I hit a wall where I was like, who gives a shit about this stuff? I did kind of bounce back from that a little bit, but so I think there were a couple dips in the movie where I was just like, I don't know it's like, what even is this? And then there were some parts where it's a little rough, like you said. You can just tell I just don't think he has enough fine artisanal pizzazz. That's where I mean, it's like Fellini, I think, is so smooth, so much more smoother in his presentation of things.
But his stuff started off rough too. Like
his stuff did start off rough,
and then it gets real slick.
Yeah, I'm not gonna watch a lot of Pasolini stuff near the end, like where Fellini's slick in his prime or anything like that. But there's a few rough edges around it too. So I don't know. I'm very much in the middle. It's like I like some parts of it for sure, and then there's other parts where I was kind of like, I either didn't care, or I was like, this isn't quite what I want. And I think some of the stuff, some of the side story stuff, like I didn't really like the gang of kids stealing stuff. I liked Ittori and like his relationship with the girl and him trying to do stuff. Like I thought as a character, Ittori was very good, but some of his side gambits, you're kind of like,
Side hustles.
his side hustles, it lost my interest a little bit. So I don't know. It's a very mixed bag for me, which is I think probably more positive than I think anyone would have expected me to be, which is good, I guess. I don't know, but no, it's okay. I can see why you like it, and I don't. Yeah, I think there is definite Fellini connections to it on top of that because the other thing that I watched, which is part of the supplementals, there's a lot of Fellini talk in that too. So it's like clearly it was part of PP Pasolini's like his brain. I don't know. Anyways, I don't know if you want me to talk about La Ricotta. It's included in the package on Criterion Channel with this. That's the only reason I watched that.
Okay.
Before I start that though, is anything you want to add on my my Mama Roma discussion?
No, I mean I think it's like you said. I mean there's been times where I've been in and out on a movie, and it didn't happen for me this time, which is good.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
No, I think that's good. Okay, cool. So yeah, so in the supplementals on the Criterion Channel, there's like 4 or 5 interviews, but some of them are like an hour long, so I was like, I don't want to watch any of that shit. But I saw there was a 30-minute thing called La Ricotta, and I was like, what is cheese curd? And then I read the synopsis, Jared. Made as part of an omnibus film of Rogo Pegi.
Yep.
This short is a hilarious religious farce at the Cinecita Film Studio. Director, played by Orson Welles, begins shooting a film dealing with Christ's crucifixion. Among the cast is a Jesus who has sex with boys in the bushes and a peasant who plays one of the thieves crucified alongside Jesus. The actor literally dies on the cross, not by inflicted wounds, but of ingestion caused by too much cheese.
We've all been there.
So when I saw the idea of this, I thought it was a slam dunk. Eating too much cheese. I've been there, buddy. So this thing's trite, to say the least. I'm not really sure what the intended purpose of this thing is, but I actually do like some of the Christ images, whereas I saw that Pasolini has like a biblical thing that you weren't too hot on, but like some of the things are very picturesque.
Gospel according to Saint Matthew
or something like that.
I've never been. I own that DVD, and it is junky. It's an old DVD. It was like from like whatever the Pasolini box set was at the time.
Yeah,
but I've never been able to get into it. It is a sleepy movie.
Yeah, I don't think I would like it either. I liked some of the images in this because it's very like really bright colors, and they're all like stills because they're like it's like living pictures kind of, and I was like, that's very nice. It appeals to my Catholic sentiments. So I really liked that imagery of it, but like some of the other stuff with like the description of like the Jesus taking boy, or the actor who plays Jesus taking the boys, it's like I don't know, it's like a 2-second thing in the short. It's like it's not even that big of a deal. The big thing about the short is that guy just laying down cheese, and there's this weird scene where like all these pixie imps like pop up and offer him more food for him to kind of gorge himself on, and I liked that, but I was kind of like, I don't really know what the point of this is. It's weird. And then you get Orson Welles, and I got a ton of screenshots of him because he's talking about like the depravity of Italian people. And the screen cap I put out today was like, what do you think of Italian society? I didn't put up the follow-up where he's like, they're the most illiterate and like ignorant of the Europeans. And I was like, whoa. So I got to give it to Pasolini for being for having I guess the sense of humor to poke fun at his own people, because he's saying that, not Orson Welles isn't saying that. It's even though he's the actor. Anyways, it's a strange little short, and I don't really know why it exists, but it is included with Mama Roma. So I guess if you're one of those guys out there who owns this Criterion edition, you might be watching it.
Yeah, I watched that anthology a long time ago.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Roy Joe Pa G.
Ropa. Yeah, because what is it? How does it go? It's the four directors. It's the first two letters.
Rogo Pa G. Rossellini, Godard, Pasolini, and then I don't know the last one.
Oh, damn it. Buy me time. I'll look it up.
Gort?
I think Godard's in there, right?
Yeah, that's the last one. Go is Godard, Pa is Pasolini, and then there's a G at the end, where you can look it up if you just go to Pasolini.
Oh, there it is. Pasolini and Gregoretti. Rossellini, Godard, Pasolini, Gregoretti.
Sounds delicious.
Yeah,
just pasta.
Chastity deals with an attractive air hostess who receives the unwelcome attentions of a middle-aged American. Uh-oh. I don't know if I've got that on my list of, like, foreign American men trying to bang foreign women. Godard's New World illustrates a post-apocalypse world, the same as the pre-apocalyptic one, but for an enigmatic change in attitude when most people, including the central character's girlfriend. I think I watched it specifically for that. Yeah, I tried watching this, and it's... and the last one is the Gregory one, Free Range Chicken, in which a family of the materialist culture inadvertently illustrates the cynical, metallic voice doctrine of a top sales theorist. That I remember. Huge.
Yeah, you have this logged, but you don't have the individual shorts logged, which is going to up your numbers, I think. Damn. If you just got to go find La Ricotta and log it.
That wasn't an option back when.
It is now, man. They took Lasagna Cat off, but hey, at least La Ricotta is on there.
That's such horseshit.
It's all horseshit. But Letterboxd is made up and mostly nerds. So, what are you gonna do?
So, Mama Roma.
Yeah.
How did you like that Romolo?
The pimp?
Yeah.
As an actor, I thought he was doing the job well. Like you said, he's a very slimy, believable guy. As a character, you're like, what's your plan here, dude? You're gonna buy a cow and slaughter it on your own?
Well, but you know that it's like, yeah, he's going to try being straight. So there's always that pressure of like, being a criminal and going to jail. It's like, I'm just over this now. I don't want to be a criminal anymore. And then you go, yeah, no, working for a living is too hard. I want to go back to that. And he's like, you think how hard it is for me to be like this? Have some sympathy for Romolo.
Romolo?
That's all he's asking.
Yeah, I don't much care for Romolo. What about those junkyard rats? Those guys are cool, hey?
Oh yeah.
That just buy stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like I said, it's a real mixed bag for me. There's things that I like, but there's a lot of stuff where I was kind of like, eh. So I'm right down the middle between. As far as I'm concerned, Pasolini's 0 for 2 for me. But what are you gonna do, right? It's fine. It's no big deal. Nobody needs me to like Pasolini. Except every person who comments on our Salo episode. They all need me to like that movie for some reason.
What does this movie say about post-war Italy, RJ?
A lot of sex, I guess.
But is there sex? Is it about
allegedly
a living? Is it about what does it have to say about fascism? I see a lot of mention of that on the Wikipedia page.
Fascism?
Yeah.
All this shit about like Italian movies and Pasolini and like metaphors of fascism. I'm going to tell you, Jared, I think a lot of them aren't actually there. It's all horseshit. And as I said before with La Ricotta, I think it's kind of trite. There's no point for these things. You know what I mean?
Trite.
It's trite. I know you love that word. Mm-hmm. It's trite. So it's, I don't know. Metaphors are stupid. Tell your English teacher I said that, all right?
Yeah. Put your stamp on that.
Just lay it out for me bit by bit, all right?
I want to hear from who hates Mama Roma.
Sure.
First up, we've got Mark Goldstein, 1.5 star. Get it? Get it? Get it? It's bad on purpose. Do you get it? Holy fuck.
Is it bad on purpose? I never really got that
No.
vibe. Favorite movies include Boogie Nights, Social Network, Terminator, and Spirited Away.
That's
Not bad films. Not bad films at all. You said Mark Goldstein, right?
Yep.
Okay. For some reason, I was like, wait a minute. Did I click on the right person? They gave the Funny Games remake 5 stars.
Yeah, they did.
They gave Call Me By Your Name 5 stars.
Mm-hmm.
Daredevil with Ben Affleck 5 stars. I feel like that's ironic. So
Yeah.
anytime you get those ironic ratings.
Well, maybe they're just reviewing their experience as a bad movie to watch.
It could be. They gave The Fast Runner half a star.
Ooh.
It seems weird. What other Johnny Mnemonic, Vivian's favorite film, a half a star. Life is Beautiful, a half a star. The fuck? You know Life is Beautiful, Jarrett?
Yeah, I know about that movie.
Is that a half a star film?
No, probably not.
Best Picture winner from Italian Man. What else we got?
Roberto Benigni, star of Down by Law.
Exactly. He's the one.
Next up, we've got Halliday.
Okay.
2 stars. It must be something in the novelistic nature of Pasolini's scripts that makes the feeling of passage of time so weak to me. The film eventually gives you enough pieces to put the timeline together, but a lot of scenes often begin with thought like, wait, why are we here now? And then midway through the scene, a character would offhandedly say an event that should have been a scene of its own. Maybe it's deliberate with good reason behind it, but it just comes off as unnecessarily confusing for me, as characters reach conclusions that don't feel as though they've naturally gotten to. Aside from that, though, this was okay. In many ways, a technical improvement and some more societal and political themes come through, which were nice. Reading up on PPP's neorealism, triple P, it's almost like PS3. Neorealism techniques with his actors was the most interesting part of this, to be honest, and the tango scene displayed on the poster, which features the lead non-professional actress falling shyly looking toward the camera, was a nice aspect of this style of filmmaking.
Sure.
Just some thoughts. Some thoughts.
Yeah. I mean, it's not the worst ideas. Halliday is 18, so young for getting into this kind of heavy shit. Favorite films aren't bad. Some 5-star films are things like Boogie Nights, Uncut Gems, Eyes Wide Shut, The House That Jack Built.
Oh.
Whoa.
That's some company.
There's some, yeah. 1-star films, it's a really weird blend between other Pasolini movies. So this person has watched a lot of Pasolini. And then a lot of Disney shorts, like those Toy Story shorts with that fork.
Yep.
Just gave a lot of those 1 stars, which I feel like I don't when people rate stuff like that, like very clearly shorts made for like little kids, like 1 or half a star or something. It's like I don't know if that's for you, man. You know? Is it because there's this false idea that every Toy Story is a 5-star thing that they expect the shorts to also be? I don't know, Jer.
Finally, we got Teacher Nat, 2 stars. Is that like because they're a natural teacher, or a teacher named Nat?
I hope neither. I don't know.
Pulling the plug on Pasolini after 3 unimpressive outings. This, Teorema from 68 and Acetone from 61. To give him credit, I can see that he improved as a filmmaker between his first 2 films and his 6th, but I think he has a case of his art being famous because he is famous, not him being famous because of his art. I feel like I'm cheating by bowing out before viewing Salo, but to be honest, I was dreading that experience, and I'm glad to be putting it off.
I'll be glad to be putting off Teacher Nat's future reviews. They gave The Long Goodbye 1 star.
Oh.
They gave Cool Hand Luke 1 star. But they did give Raw half a star, so that's interesting.
Raw?
They only have 6 5-star films. High and Low, Drunken Angel, Rocco and his brothers, Harry Carey, Ron, and Panique from 1946 from director Julien Duvivier.
This person's a kind of a big Japanese boy.
Allegedly. I don't know what else. Something about check out my 10% project for favorite films. Yeah, just lots of Japanese stuff. And some non. This dude's a total weeb. Oh well.
Oh well.
What are you gonna do?
Such these attacks, RJ. I
What?
thought better of you.
Is weeb derogatory?
Yes.
It is? I
Yeah.
thought it just meant someone who loves Japanese stuff.
No.
I've been calling people
A
weebs
weeb
all
is a
week.
derisive term for a non-Japanese person who's obsessed with Japanese culture that they wish were that they wish they were actually Japanese.
Oh, I had someone introduce themselves as a weeb once.
Well,
to me.
they do that and they call themselves like whatever. They do this and people go, you shouldn't be. What are you doing?
Oh,
And then there's otakus and then there's weebs.
what about waifus?
Weeaboo. Oh, RJ. This is more complex than this one podcast on Pasolini could address.
Well, he was. Hey, we're. I bet if he was still around, he would cover a movie about weebs. Weebs. Is he alive?
Pasolini?
Yeah.
No, he was kind of murdered.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
Remember that?
Oh yeah.
You hear about this?
Did you hear this? You know this? People are gonna get me for that one. Oh well.
He's dead.
Well, you never know. Some people think we're dead.
How do we know we're not all in the afterlife?
That's what I'm saying,
Listening
man.
to YouTube or podcasts in your headphones.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
So you got any final thoughts on Mama Roma?
No, I'm never gonna think about this again in my life.
Not ever. Well, except
Probably.
until the next Pasolini movie.
Yeah, I guess, but that's it.
That's it.
Other than that, it's done.
So I mean, I guess like the only thing I would throw out there is
Uh-huh.
the connections. I guess one could figure out is like looking at all these like because I think of this almost as a coming of age movie, even though
Sure.
a lot of it's framed as the mother and son relationship. But
Yeah.
so I think about other coming of age stories. Like obviously there's 400 Blows, but then there's like George Washington, and
I guess.
and I feel like I mean in that regards like I think this is like. Maybe a better movie than George Washington, which
Sure.
which is a movie that didn't do anything for me at all.
Mhm.
Just remind people of that because I mean, no one even cares. No one even brought that up. I thought we'd get shit for that movie, but never happened.
About George Washington?
Yeah,
I mean, is anyone that? Does anyone actually like George Washington that much, or?
well, I don't know. Well, let's hear from the people.
Okay.
Do you care
We'll
about?
see.
Do you care about George Washington person?
Do you, the listener?
No.
Oh, we'll see.
After the break, RJ dies with a shit bucket, and I go to throw myself out of a window, and I'm successful.
What's in the bucket?
Shit. And piss.
Terrific.